part of the challenge about working with trauma is that for most of us, it's not a quick fix. There is no quick fix, but there is a process. And the more we understand about how all this works, the more we can have that patience for ourselves and that self-compassion to really give it the time and the space that it needs.
Beautiful. So where are we? On number five, six, five? I can't
So
remember now.
Oprah, Not Your Fault is number 6.
Okay.
And yeah.
So we're on 7.
So number 7 is really about how can we think about everything like this, mental health conditions and chronic illnesses having similar origins. And I think of number 7 as trauma, the trauma science being its own new paradigm. We are learning so much from trauma, even though it can be a dirty word in certain circumstances and certain settings. What we're learning is that even PTSD, for example, is not what we thought. We still, like I was just Googling it before coming on, and it's still written as a single event thing.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when you start to look at it, the research in PTSD, Rachel Yehuda, Mount Sinai, she's one of the most well-known researchers in PTSD and in multi-generational trauma and its effects, like the Holocaust effects. What she's been finding is that for example, the soldiers, the veterans who develop PTSD are also the ones who had more traumatic events and adversity in childhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't pop out of the blue. The event that triggers the PTSD tends to be the last event in a series of events. And what's striking is that this is what I've seen in the research in chronic illness also. And when you think about in Robert Navio's metabolic research at UC San Diego, what he did, he sent out a questionnaire in a small study he did with folks with chronic fatigue. And what it boiled down to of what happened in the year before their symptoms started was there were 5 categories of triggering events. And so there may be, I don't know what the number is for all different illnesses, but infection's a really common trigger for the onset of all kinds of different chronic illnesses. And it's all kinds of different infections. And so infection was one of the 5 things he found that often seem to have triggered the onset. Toxins, like mold, chemicals, like poisons. But then there were also things, psychological and physical trauma were also there. And I've done a survey, an informal survey on my blog for folks with chronic fatigue. And what I'm finding is for people who had infection as a trigger, a large amount of them have also had all these other things going on in the same year or 2 before the onset of a chronic illness. So that is part of number 7, is this sense that it's not a single event. It's usually an accumulation and dose, how often, how much, how severe, and usually it's something that started early in life. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've started doing is I'm using the ACEs research, which is really making inroads all around the world. Mm-hmm. There are hundreds of studies now and a couple systematic analyses that have been done. And so it's really starting to pave the way for an understanding of trauma. And what I'm doing is I'm building on the term of ACEs and looking at other types of trauma. So adverse babyhood experiences, for example, is another term I've come up with for events that happen before a child's 3rd birthday. Pre and perinatal events, a difficult birth, even C-sections. There have been 2 new research studies that just came out, or they came out in 2020 for 40 years after C-sections. One of them looked at the entire population in Denmark. And what they found is that there's increased numbers of autoimmune diseases in folks who are born by C-section. Mm. And the other study was done in women, in nurses' study, and there's a high risk of type 2 diabetes. And so we tend to think maybe it's the gut flora, maybe it's the microbiome, maybe it's because There's not as much clearing out of the lungs if it's not a vaginal delivery. But I think a big piece that's missing, and why I coined the term for ABEs, adverse babyhood events, is that a lot of these things are traumatic. And that has an actually huge impact on a parent, especially moms. That's where most of the research has been done, but on a mother's ability to bond with her baby.
Mm-hmm.
If she has an emergency C-section because of life-threatening something or other, that's normal to freak out. Because of that, the staff is sped up. You lose the connection with people who are there to support you. But other kinds of events too. So if a baby was in an incubator, needed intensive care, if the mom or the baby had to be hospitalized after going home, things that separate mom and baby in particular can affect bonding. And that in turn influences how our nervous systems and our immune systems develop and are shaped. Mm-hmm. And another term, and it's in one of the books that I have as a free download, are ACRES, Adverse Childhood Relationship Experiences. And that's really what we think of for complex PTSD. It's the relationship people have with their parents or their adult caregivers growing up. And the research is showing, there's a new study out, 2019, by Ali Crandall in Utah, finding that having fewer positive events or experiences as a child may actually be more impactful on our risk for health conditions than abuse and adversity. Mm. And so I think of ACRES, complex trauma, developmental wounds, as probably the most underestimated risk factor of all of them for all of these conditions: mental health conditions, physical conditions, chronic conditions. And adverse babyhood experiences are a risk factor because of how they can interfere with bonding. They're also a risk factor for ACEs. So we start to look at the trauma science in groups, in categories like this. And what I've been pulling together is the research from these different bodies of knowledge, and they all just keep pointing in the same direction.